free from the constraints of dogma or doctrine. We believe all things are beloved and are worthy just because they are. We believe in a future where we are all treated equitably, but recognize the inequalities in this world and seek to work to tear down the structures that uphold them. At their love for our world, love for each other, and love for ourselves. So welcome. We're glad you're here. Are there announcements? I think we have one.
Good morning, my fairies and pixies and gnomes and elves. My name is Shannon. I'm one of the co-chairs for the auction fundraiser coming up in November. This is a group effort. We raise money to help fund the expenses of the facility so that we can do our great work in the community. So I need everybody's help. We have sent out lots of letters and emails and online applications for business donations. So we're focusing on business donations. Your help in reaching out to your favorite business so that your favorite business can become our favorite business, if they would give a donation. There are pages on the back foyer room on the table that look like this, and this is a letter from us and a donation form. There is also a QR code this year where they can scan and fill that in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. There's also an email on here that I respond to, so I'm happy to follow up with questions there. Please help me get more business donations. Our most exciting donation this past week was Belmont Park for the first time.
And if you'd like to supply some stamps, we still need some more to mail out more things. So thank you for that. So are there any other announcements? We do have a concert today at 1 o'clock, and I think our dear one is coming up.
Yeah, sooner.
Good morning, everybody. Puff, puff, puff. I just yes, there's a concert today. Oh no, senior moment. What's his name? 1 o'clock. Joe Ferrara. He's been here a couple of times before, at least, and well-attended concerts, and a lot of fun, good listening, easy listening, and a very nice voice, and a good storyteller. So we encourage you to come. It's at 1 o'clock, so it gives you time to go away and come back if you need to, and we hope to see you all there. There's a suggested donation. I think it's $20, but whatever you can afford. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. So we need to remember that we stand upon land that carries the footsteps of many generations of Kumeyaay people. And this stretches from the Pacific Ocean south to Ensenada, east to the sand dunes of the Colorado River in Imperial Valley, and north to Warner Hot Springs. We acknowledge that this fellowship resides on unceded Kumeyaay land, and we honor the spirit and continuing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. And so now is the time for you to stand if you're, oh no, we're supposed to light the chalice. We have to start, and Stacey's going to help us light the chalice. So our chalice lighting reading today is called Amid All the Noise in Our Lives by Timothy Haley. Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know we are on our pilgrimage here, but for a brief moment of time. Let us open ourselves here now to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely, the meaning of our lives here on this earth. And so now, as you're willing and able, please stand for our congregational hymn and our aspiration. Be the spirit of this fellowship. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. And now Elinor will lead us in our reading.
Good morning. My name is Elinor. I have white hair, a purple shirt, and black pants. The reading today comes from How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going, Leading in a Liminal Season. And it's by Susan Beaumont. She writes, "A liminal period is a disorienting period of non-structure or anti-structure that opens new possibilities no longer based on old status or power hierarchies. New identities are explored and new possibilities are considered. A congregation's change in minister is a liminal time. Our previous minister, Reverend Frank, gave us 12 months' notice that he was going to retire at the end of June 2020. This was a liminal time we were preparing for." Beaumont goes on to ask, why then are we resistant to living in a liminal state? Why is the disorientation that we experience so intolerable? Why do we stand outside of our own story and pray for liminality to end, when in the liminality itself is an invitation to transformation? Our resistance stems from the fact that liminality always begins with an ending, an experience of loss. And humankind resists loss. We resist the unknowing inherent in not yet, the loss of control over our own destiny. William Bridges describes the liminal season in an organizational setting as the neutral zone. This is the time when you've let go of one trapeze with the faith that a new trapeze is on its way. In the meantime, there's nothing to hold on to. In mid-March of 2020, due to a worldwide spread of cases of COVID-19, we had an abrupt halt to being able to meet in person, whether with our friends, coworkers, or classmates, or for us being here together at Summit. No one knew enough about how to keep one another safe from a disease that we saw claiming so many people on the news each night. Stay home, socially distance, mask up. We didn't know if it would last weeks or months or longer. This was a worldwide liminal time. This morning, we're going to explore what happened during the pandemic. We will share changes that we made that turned out to be for the better, that we had never imagined before. And now I would then like to invite Duncan up as we share hymn 1000 in the Teal hymnal, Morning Has Come.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shone upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
So we come now to our time of joys and concerns. And these joys and concerns can be filled out here in the sanctuary or texted or emailed to Reverend Kaye, and it says me in the paper, but it's to Stacey Scott. And these can be written during the week and so that we can share them on Sunday. And all are welcome to light a candle if you're so moved, and we know that there are joys and concerns that are not written and are not spoken, but we hold them all in our heart. So I have a concern here from Al Mork on Ron Getz, who has been hospitalized since Tuesday with very high blood pressure. And we need to hold him in light and highest good because he seems confused. So bless Ron. We have another concern from Iris Neal, who had a colonoscopy which revealed polyps, including a large one in the transverse colon. So please pray that all biopsies come back benign. We also hold Iris in our heart for the highest good in her health. And we have a sorrow from Mary. A dear friend of 40 years passed away Sunday. Everardo Aguilar was one of her first San Diego UU friends, along with Elinor and Jim. He will be dearly missed. So we bless you, Mary, and hold you dearly with love and blessings in this time of change. And for all of those other needs unspoken, we have some moments of silence for them. Thank you for this time of joys, concerns, and sorrows, and that we may be aware of others' needs. So now I'd like to invite Mary Carter Vale up to give us another wonderful story.
Good morning. My name is Mary Carter Vale. I have the privilege and honor of serving here as your Director of Religious Exploration. And today I'm wearing purples and blues and about 5'6" with graying hair and freckly redhead skin. So we had a liminal time here. Who remembers what they were doing in early March 2020? Anybody remember? I know I had a child who was in high school and we were just putting down a deposit on this Disneyland trip. He was very excited. I had a youth group here that was preparing to go to General Assembly. We just done a fundraiser for our scholarship fund. And Reverend Frank was on vacation in Mexico with Pilar on March 12th. We got the first inklings that something was going to shift dramatically. And on March 13th, the county said, shut it all down. And I stood up here with my phone and made a little video for y'all saying, we can get through this, it's just a couple weeks. It wasn't a couple weeks, but we didn't know what we didn't know, right? So Frank got on a plane early to come back from Mexico, and Trish Ladd and I sat here and tried to figure out how could we make the service virtual that first Sunday? What could we do? We didn't have cameras and screens in here. All this has happened since then. All we had was a little webcam propped on the music stand with a laptop on it, and Frank and I sitting here trying to talk to it with very poor reception, we were told. Our bandwidth was really low. But we got through that first Sunday, and we never missed a Sunday after that, which is pretty impressive for this group. Now everything changed because suddenly all of our services and religious exploration were all having to be from home. And what is Summit but community, right? And we had to pivot to understanding that a congregation is not a building. It's us. We are the congregation. And that was a big learning that happened right off the bat. Like, how do we pivot? How do we do this? So suddenly I'm doing religious exploration for our families from a screen, and the kids are all on Zoom, and they're on Zoom for school, and I'm teaching everybody in the congregation how to use Zoom because I was the only one that had any experience. It was really a challenge, but you all stepped up, you figured it out, and it was a time of very liminal space. What are we going to do? We can't have our classrooms and our volunteers and our services and our coffee together afterwards. All these things were gone. And as Elinor stated already, Reverend Frank was retiring in a couple months. We had Reverend Everett coming in. So we're trying to figure out what to do. Well, we threw spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck because nobody knew what to do. I'm online communicating with other religious educators. We were all in the same boat. So we figured out, we did things like made bags of goodies to send home for our families with little chalices, with little tea lights for the kids so they could have some sort of spiritual connection. We created a virtual Easter egg hunt across Unitarian Universalist websites across the nation and the continent. Each one had a different egg hidden in it, and we sent families on a hunt. And our website was on that. It was very clever way of figuring things out. And I started learning how to do YouTube videos. Suddenly I'm a YouTube star, I guess. I don't know. I didn't only sent them to Summit folks, but I started learning how to do stories via YouTube and lessons via YouTube. And if you remember, that was the spring of George Floyd and the 2020 protests. So we were dealing with a lot, we were holding a lot as a community. So the first summer, we created virtual family chalice camp. And it was all online stories that I would send out to folks and conversation prompts. And at the beginning, we talked about community. And at the end of the summer, we talked about how do we address the time we're in, like dealing with anti-racism and anti-oppression, and what does that look like now? And we had some families that participated, but a lot of people who participated were adults. We had some good adult discussion because I invited everybody. I also learned what a Jackbox game is. Does anybody know what Jackbox games are? Yes, they're virtual games you play online, and we would have some, with the youth I had remaining would have some raucous Jackbox games. In fact, they're all young adults. Some of them are young adults now, and Nick Orr still leads young adult Jackbox games for young adults around, using our account from around the Southern California area. So it was a lot. It was a lot to hold that first summer. And then we started our fall. In the fall of 2020 fall, we had a virtual water communion and drive-through. So for those that don't know, the water communion is when we gather in the fall and everybody brings a little water and we pour it together to symbolize the community coming together. Well, we did that via drive-through. So people drove through to pour water. It was just Reverend Everett and I in the parking lot with masks on, people pouring water. So it was very creative the way we had to do things. So the religious educators and I were all online trying to figure out what to do, and somebody came up with this brilliant idea of doing a stuffy sleepover. Because our kids couldn't be here in person, so I invited everybody to bring a stuffed animal. And we had a sleepover with stuffed animals, and I staged them around Summit, me reading a story to them getting tucked in for bed. We made a little tent for them, tours, going around the garden, all the stuffed animals. I loaded them in the wagon and we dragged them all around. It was really fun, but it was lonely. I'm doing it for myself, but the kids loved it. So those were some of the liminal creative ways that we started continuing to build community. The first in parking lot thing we did was the Easter egg hunt for the spring of 2021. Still couldn't have everybody together. So I thought, how could we do a spring Easter egg hunt that would connect folks back with Summit? So we did I came up with the idea of doing a scavenger hunt. So I talked to the youth that we had at the time, and we came up with clues, like what would lead to some other site in Summit. Because we realized people hadn't been here for a year. They didn't know they might not know where things were. Younger kids didn't know where things were. So I color-coded the eggs. Each family had a color, and they all had different times to come. It was a whole day event. And they searched, and they found the eggs, and it was fun. It was the first time we really did anything in the parking lot. So after that, they were burnt out. Our families were burnt out on doing Zoom. How many people got burnt out on that at that time? Everything. I mean, we were in Zoom cocktail parties. It was crazy. Everything was on Zoom. And everybody's pretty much stuck at home. So for that summer of 21, that was the first summer we started Parking Lot RE. I called it Camp Community. And we set a goal at the end of the summer going camping together at Dos Picos up in Ramona, which is a beautiful youth campground. And I invited anybody who wanted to come. And then all summer, what we did was we built community in the parking lot, families coming with their kids, and we learned how to do things like get ready for camping. Like, what do you need to bring? What kind of food do you need to cook? How can we cook in community and all of that for the summer? And I didn't know what we were going to do. I remember the first time we gathered was fort making and tie-dye. I said, how are we going to make in the fort in the parking lot? I have no idea, but we'll figure it out. And we did. Like, Mark and I strung ropes across the parking lot. We got a giant parachute out, and we figured it out. So it was really a whole summer just figuring out how to make it work. So that was also the time we came up with a covenant of care, because we were starting to try to meet in small groups. We had this, I don't know if you remember, the chairs were all very separated out in here. Everybody had masks on. So we crafted a covenant of care for the whole community. The board worked on this, and then we just worked on implementing it. It was like, how do we take care of each other in this liminal time? I'm making all these notes. So the RE, we would have the service at 10 a.m. virtually, and then I do RE in the parking lot at noon, and that worked really well. We had new families coming in because they were also looking for things, so families were inviting other families in. We had evening activities, including we did a s'more cookout in the parking lot. That was one of the evening activities. So it was not until September of 2022 that we got back to in-person services in here at 10 a.m. So when we first began, I just remember sitting in my bedroom leading services or co-leading services with the team, while my son got a job working for a Long Beach congregation. He was in his room leading their Zoom services. So it was very interesting how the whole thing worked out. A parking lot RE was so fun because we could be outside, we could be together. Sometimes we'd be wearing masks. It was always optional to wear them. And the families were actually there doing their religious exploration with their children. So it was a very good bonding time for families. And that was just how we had to pivot and adjust. And we've gotten back now to being in our regular in person, obviously, and a regular RE starting during the service. We did lose a lot of our families, though. Folks had to move away. Children aged out. Most of the kids who were in middle school are now in college. That's how long ago it was, you know? You measure things by children growing up. And it was a very big learning time, I think, about community and how you build community. And we got through it, and we grew from it. And we now have this incredible system, so our folks who are at home, who can't physically be here, can enjoy and watch the service. My dad watches every Sunday from Mexico. You know, it's really, we've broadened our outreach. And I think that we've gotten through it and with some really beautiful learnings and some beautiful lessons. I can tell you, I was going back through my notes of what I'd done, and I was like, wow, we did a lot. There was a lot that had happened. So I'm very proud of our community and what we've done. And I hope y'all are too as well. So that's kind of how Parking Lot RE happened. And I know you all have stories, and you're gonna have time to share them later. So thank you for listening to what we did. So now we're gonna go back and do some painting. Sarah Duval is back with the ceramics that the kids made a couple weeks ago. So stop by and see, because they're pretty amazing. So we're gonna head off to RE with our song.
And now it's our turn to sing again. If Duncan will come and lead us in hymn number 205 in the Gray Book, Amazing Grace.
Thank you.
That's probably not high enough.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. We've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing our praise than when we'd first begun.
We humans are social creatures. We need community. Being cut off from others during the pandemic was hard for most of us. For me, attending worship with all of you over Zoom every Sunday was the highlight of my week. You are my social community. I was so impressed by how everyone, some with help from other tech-savvy members, quickly became proficient with Zoom. For many of us, Sunday morning worship together was our primary connection with the larger world. A benefit we hadn't imagined was that Zoom opened unexpected doors for us. Suddenly, those members who, for health reasons, hadn't been able to attend Summit in person in a very long time were once again able to join in worship. In this way, barriers came down. In addition, former members and friends who lived outside of San Diego County were still able to worship with us. We had people joining us from at least 3 states, as well as, Mary said, Mexico. Our multi-platform services today keep worship accessible to all. We had some very hardworking volunteers who did the heavy work of finding speakers for us, and who, along with Reverend Everett, our halftime minister, created and led worship every week. For many of us, this was our primary connection with one another as a congregation. Coffee hour was gone. So to refresh memories of where we were in spring 2020, at Summit, virtual services and online RE started in mid-March. We were masking up, social distancing 6 feet apart, even in lines to get to the grocery store. The sudden shift from virtual school for all students, kindergarten through college. Online communities grew. Teleworking became an option for many, except for the frontline or essential workers, who included, but not limited to, the healthcare workers, protective service workers of police and EMTs, cashiers in grocery and general merchandise stores, food production, processing, and preparation workers, janitors, maintenance workers, agricultural workers, and truck drivers. And then, as Mary mentioned, George Floyd was killed in May of 2020. This morning, we're going to explore ways that we, both collectively and as individuals, change things that we did, either out of necessity or because we were suddenly not rushing around so much, that provided benefits that are still ongoing today. And Doug Kaye will start us off.
I'm Doug Kaye. I'm a white male, 5'4", 148 pounds, with white hair, and I realize I'm a guest of the Kumeyaay Nation. Life during the pandemic was challenging, a life in isolation, masks, and walking solo in my neighborhood. I, like many, found life with Zoom. I joined 3 different Zoom groups. 2 of them were social justice groups. The Zoom group that made a lasting impression on me was the Summit UU Social Justice Group led by Ren Corbet as the leader. Being very new to the church, Ren made me feel right at home. Ren did an outstanding job of discussing a number of books, but the one called Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. We discussed a wide range of topics, such as white supremacy and white privilege. I discovered much about myself through Ren and others in the group. I always thought of myself as a champion of liberal causes. I had majored first in sociology during the 60s, where I had heard Martin Luther King speak. He spoke at Golden Gym there at the old Cal Western campus. Read books on the Black experience, such as Black Like Me. But I asked myself, what had I really done for the Black cause of injustice? Not much other than talk about it. Ren's class taught me that if I was to make a difference, I had to do something. Was I part of the white silence? As Martin Luther King stated, we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the hateful words and actions of bad people, but for the appalling silence of the good people. How could I get off my duff? What was my plan? One of the actions learned from Ren's group was the support of Black business or church. I had the honor during the college years and the beginning of my teaching career to have an Afro-American roommate named Chuck Ambers. And Chuck and I have remained friends through the years, but I had not seen him for a while. I called him and met with him. Chuck runs the Afro-American Museum in Old Towns. Some of you remember, he talked at our fellowship, making a contribution to him was my humble start on that journey. Another revolution during the social justice class was that Black experience does not want white people telling them what is good for them. They had had a lot of that in the past. This really became relevant when I called Ren about a racially motivated stabbing of a Black youth in Lakeside. Ren and I hastily Ren and I attended and hastily put together a sheriff's meeting to talk about the incident. Incidentally, I heard about the incident by Next Door, which became a source of local information during the pandemic. What was learned was that there was a well-organized BIPAC, Black Indigenous People of Color, who wanted to answer and protect the youth. And although Ren and I approached the group, they did not directly want our help. As the result of this in the class, I and Ren and Mike Lavich started an organization called Lakeside Amity, which included making Lakeside a better and safe place to live. This included members of the LGBTQ community. We used knowledge learned from the Transforming Hearts Collective presented in Ren's class. We had speakers from the queer community who became part of our group. We had a dialogue with school and community leaders. We continue as the result of this class to promote social justice. The class really changed my life. The pandemic did promote social isolation, but it also gave us time for reflection. Zoom has become a part of my life. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't know about you, but during COVID, I just kind of shut down also. I sat in my chair and I watched the world fall apart. At the beginning, I thought, oh, we all have this disease we're working against. It's going to unite the world. And then there were things about masks and things about COVID shots and things about whether you should stand close together or not, or meet or not. And it was overwhelming. The only thing useful that I did during that time was on Nextdoor, just as mentioned, I started a topic, why you should not say all lives matter to Black Lives Matter. And it had over 500 responses, and it was not shut down for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And so I sat there and I did armchair social justice, but I really did nothing. Some people cleaned out their houses, some people gardened. I did nothing. I sat in horror and watched things happening around me. Now I have to back up a little bit because this story all started when I met a woman named Leah Anderson in a ceramics class at SDSU. And she and I became very close friends. We bonded through art. She's an amazing artist, and that was what she was going to school for. I was going to school to become a teacher. But we were in ceramics class, metals class, which we barely survived. And we have remained friends, even though she moved to didn't move to Albuquerque, but Rio Rancho, which is close to Albuquerque, and teaches at UNM, and she's been the guest there at the museum, and she's just done marvelous things. If you've ever been in my house and you've seen all the art around my house, a lot of it is hers. She does these really interesting, in fact, she gave me her last picture that her painting she ever did, that actually had a person. It was like a shadow of her daughter. But after that, she just did biological forms, very organic, very cell-like. And I will show you some of that in just a minute. I don't remember how it came to my attention, but probably on Facebook, that she would be teaching an online class. And I'm like, because I couldn't go to any of her classes. She lives all the way in New Mexico. So I was like, I can take a Leah Anderson class. This is so awesome. So I did. And here is some of the art. Let me turn this on. This is some of the art that I did as a result of her first couple of classes, because I ended up taking, I think, 7 classes from her in a row. There was a group in our first class that we just had a lot of fun together. We just really hit it off. And we decided that after the class ended, we didn't want it to end, so we started meeting on Zoom. And thus were born the Pod Sisters. Each one of these little things are considered a pod. Like this one over here, I think this is right. Oh, it's not really showing up. The one on the left is about this big. And we had to write poetry on the back, and the teacher had us all send one in, and then she sent them out to us, so we got one of everybody's artwork. But this is the type of work that we were doing together. And because we didn't want to give up our friendship, we started meeting on Zoom every Friday. And now, 5 years later, we are still meeting on Zoom every Friday. We are the closest. Our first road trip, one other person that's in it lives also here in San Diego, way out in Jamul at the edge of the earth. And I've been there once, and it was a drive. And we took a road trip together to Albuquerque, and we met the people that live in Albuquerque, which there were 3 people in Albuquerque, 2 people in San Diego, 1 person in Oregon, and 1 person in Texas. The person in Oregon was too busy and dropped out after a while. The one in Texas, we've never met in person because Texas. And we're sorry that she lives in Texas. We give her our condolences all the time. But I want to tell you a little bit about some of these people and why they're so special. Oh, it goes like this. Well, it's supposed to change. There it goes. That's some of us together on one of the first times we were there. That's Sarah on the left, Sarah in the middle, and the one that lives here, Leslie, she lives in Jamul, and that's Sarah with a bouquet of flowers I gave to her because she always hosts us. So these people are elderly. I mean, I used to think it was elderly. Now, the closer I am to it, I don't think it's elderly at all. But they were in their 70s when we first met, and now all of them have become 80, except for Leslie and I, we're in our 60s. And so we celebrate all these things together. I mean, we talk every single week. We talk about everything. So when we took our first road trip, we drove across country to Albuquerque in my car, and we had so much fun. We stopped at all these little kitschy souvenir places. We stopped in Pie Town. Did you know there was a Pie Town? To buy some pie, and stood in this line. We were the only one with masks, and everybody was glaring at us because you could tell they were all MAGA people. And we were like, let's get our pie and get out of here. So we just had all kinds of adventures on the road, came out there, and stayed with Sarah, who is our most sickly friend. She is on oxygen all the time. She's got terrible COPD, and she just turned 80. And so we had a massive party for her. Whoops, went the wrong way. This is some other gatherings. When we go to Sarah's house, she turns her dining room into an art place, and everybody makes huge giant messes all over her living room. And it doesn't matter if you're making art and you're like, I need this, I need that. She's like, I've got it. And she goes trudging off to get it and brings it back to the table. She's just amazing. So that's one of our messes about to start. It's very clean, so we hadn't started yet. And that's all of us together here. And another honorary pod sister in the back. She's joined us because she's Sarah's very good friend. This is us at the zoo. This is us at an art museum. And we have ended up going out there and visiting, I've lost track, but it's at least 7 times. So I've gone to Albuquerque 7 times. Also, one of the ladies that, Tish, who's not in this picture, she knew about this art class. No, she didn't. Sarah knew about the art class, and so we started going to this art class in Taos that lasts a week, and we've done that for 3 years. And when we did that, Tish started going with me, and then my sister-in-law started going with me, and then we made more friends there that are now honorary pod sisters that live in Missouri. So this is just spread and spread and spread. Oh, that vista there is taken from Georgia O'Keeffe's studio. Isn't that beautiful? One of the things I get to do when I visit Taos is do things like that. But here's everybody right there with some of the people from Missouri, and that's all of us meeting in Taos. And this is the last time we were together. I gave Sarah a birthday card once, and it said we should say things about people on their birthdays that we say when they've died. And she took that to heart, and she said, I want to have an 80th birthday party. And she had a bang out 80th birthday party, and Glenn and I drove out there to attend it, and it was at the art museum, and it was well attended, and it was very, very special, and I'm so glad she did that because turning 80 was a big deal. Every single one of these people are very different. I'll tell you really quickly about each one of them a little bit. Sarah is a librarian, a teacher extraordinaire. She's super smart, great sense of humor, always funny. She has a home filled with art and always a dog. And when we visit, she opens her whole home to us. Judy is our no-nonsense doctor. This isn't working, but she's on the left. She's our no-nonsense doctor. She always speaks her mind. You got to be ready. And she's not an artist per se, but she took the art class because she wanted to broaden her horizons. She's always taking classes in college and then telling us all about what she learns. Leslie is my age exactly. She lives here in Hamul. She loves snakes, nature, all insects and small animals. She owns cats and indoor chickens that she keeps in a bedroom that is just for the chickens. She recently lost her studio in one of the most recent fires, and she's just got that rebuilt. Judy calls me the mushy one, which if you know me, you probably know why she says that. And then there's Tish, who is a playwright, director. She and her husband have been in movies. I was watching a movie one day, and out walked her husband, and I was like, that's Mike. I know Mike. It's the weirdest feeling to see somebody walk out that you know in a movie. And she's owned a print shop, and they have participated for years. They have their own hot air balloon, and so they did the hot air balloons in Albuquerque at the big festivals. So they're very interesting people, and they're wonderful. And I can't imagine not having them in my life now. Whenever anything happens, I tell the Pod Sisters first. With anything that I'm worried about, I tell the Pod Sisters first. They're my family. We talk about health, politics, news, weather, wildfires, stories from long ago, art we're working on, the state of our various pets. We all have pets. We send birthday cards, get well cards, feel better cards, and we keep in touch on the phone as well. So something good did come out of it, from me getting out of my chair, taking an art class, and meeting all these lovely people. Thank you for listening.
Things that changed in my life. My mom died in 2019, a year before the pandemic began. As a public health microbiologist, she was a firm believer in the importance of science, as are all members of my family. She had no patience for our 45th president and would have lost it if she had lived how the executive branch was handling the pandemic, especially around the MAGA nonsense when it came to not masking, and not trusting vaccines once they were available. Mom was also the person who kept me and my 4 siblings and their families, down to her great-grandchildren, up to date on who was doing what. My siblings and their families are spread over 5 counties in California, plus 4 other states from California to Maine. When the shutdown began, I offered to set up weekly Zoom gatherings with my siblings, their adult children, my aunt, and whoever else in the family wanted to join. For some, their world had drastically shrunk with the shutdown. Many of the younger generation, my nieces and nephews, joined in as they were teleworking and could easily jump on a late afternoon or early evening Zoom call. We got to enjoy seeing some of the really littles share their passions with us of their dinosaurs or their sea turtles or their whatever. It was fun. We have met every week since March 2020. Sometimes now it's only 1 or 2 screens, other screens participating with us. Sometimes it's 4 or more. It has given me and my oldest brother, who's 15 years older than me, a chance to get to know one another, as he was already in college when my family moved to California when I was 4 after our father died. Without these weekly Zoom opportunities, I'm not sure how connected my family would be. And at work, when I started my position with the Department of Agriculture Weights and Measures in 2013, I worked with the farmers who sell their produce at farmers markets. I would print and mail out the paper renewal packets for the certificate holders. When I received them back, I'd prepare a paper packet that I would send to the inspectors who would conduct the farm inspections, make notes on the packet, update commodities on the certificates as needed, and we would issue the new certificates, scan and upload the packets to the database. Fairly recently, before the pandemic, was the ability for people to pay their fees online versus coming into the office. When the office shut down for the majority of the staff, I began teleworking full-time. Tell you, the commute from one bedroom to the next was fabulous. We instantly went paperless. I sent out digital renewal packets with instructions about paying the fees online. We got them back. I would prepare review packets for the inspectors that were fillable PDFs where they could type in their comments. These digital packets were uploaded to the certificate holder's record. The only paper aspect was in issuing the new certificates that listed all of their commodities. This process drastically sped up the time it took to review and issue certificates, from about 2 weeks to sometimes just a day or 2, depending on how complete the renewal materials were. When the office reopened, we did not go back to paper. Now the only paper used is issuing the certificates. So instead of buying 8 to 12 cases of paper a year, we're down to buying just 4 or 5. The pandemic gave us the opportunity to find ways to work much more efficiently and effectively, provide better customer service, and save trees. What has changed for the better in your life? I would now like to invite you to share how the pandemic changed how you did things, the changes that were born out of necessity that have continued to today. Stacey will bring the microphone around.
Hello. I just wanted to share about my covenant group. I'm a facilitator for a covenant group, and we had a big discussion in 2020 when things shut down about what we were going to do with the covenant group, and we decided that we would do covenant group on Zoom. And so we started a few times, and we all decided we hated doing the covenant group on Zoom. There's so many positive things about Zoom you guys are sharing, but this is one of the negative ones, that it was just impossible to have the connection on Zoom that we had in person. So we decided we would go ahead and have the covenant group in person at my house. So what we did was, I have a really big patio, and so I set up the patio for everyone 6 feet apart, and everyone had their masks, and we continued on having the covenant group all through COVID, through summer and winter, and it was like an experience that really kind of helped to tie us all together. So I think that was one of the effects of COVID for the Covenant Group. It just pulled us together a little closer. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for all your beautiful sharing. I learned a number of things by Zoom. First of all, the main things that still stay with me is how to let go, live in the moment, discover new ways to do things that you never thought you could do. It's like I've stopped saying I can't, and then I hear, yes you can, yes you can. And being the rebel that I am my whole life, I had a real hard time wearing masks. I couldn't, I got doctors trying to fit it, everything. I passed out once because I was breathing my own, my own crap back in. So I finally found a way to be still legal with it. I moved it down so it was like I could still breathe, and I was covering my mouth. And nobody said anything, and I hope I didn't infect anyone, but then I was able to. So, when I'm told, it's helped me to know that I can choose. I can find choices or alternatives where I didn't think there were any. I've learned a better sense of humor. It's like, you get frustrated, have your little temper tantrum, and then you say, there's something funny about this. So it was all those benefits that still are real navigational tools. The other thing it did was I have such a phobia, technophobia. It's something that I'm still struggling with, and I just feel so stupid when I get on it. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And something that got me over that, I felt so proud of myself when I learned how to do, I could do this, and I don't have to learn all these 4,000 inner functionings. I can just do it simply. And it kept community, and it gave me contacts. And like other people have shared, it brought me into contact with groups and things in other places that I probably would have. But still, the patience, the allowing, the letting go, the staying in the moment. And more than ever now, I think we need to learn to navigate by living in the moment. So it's been a wonderful residue that stayed with me. Oh, and it also really helped my poetry. I wrote a lot more, and you all know how much I love poetry. And it just really helped because it gave me opportunities to have more quiet time and sit in reflection and more time. So, and this community was such a vital part of making me feel still like I belong, which I always do feel here. So blessings for all of you, and thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Jessica Bennett. In 2020, my husband and I lived in a small condo in Carlsbad because I worked from home, self-employed, and my husband was in IT, and his office was down in University City. And so we always had to live close to where he worked. And even in Carlsbad, it was like a 45-minute commute. And it just like, if you guys have had longer commutes, it's just very, very, very draining. And I would always ask him, like, you're an IT guy, like, why can't you work from home? And his office just made him, work in the office. So when COVID happened, everything went remote, and lo and behold, his company found out, like, hey, we can all work from home. So they ended up permanently closing his office, and so he was permanently remote, and we had started to think about starting a family. And the one thing I wanted a house. And so we kind of, obviously, we could not afford Carlsbad, so we looked farther and farther and farther and farther away, and we finally found this little 1,200 square foot 1930s house in Ramona, but it was a house and it had land, and because of COVID, because his office was able to go fully remote, we were able to move to the Ramona community and have our house, and he just loves working from home. He has the cats just all like lay on his lap and on his desk, and he's a real happy camper. So that's why we're here, is because of COVID.
Yeah, one thing that came out when we shut down in middle of March of 2020, Dr. Frank started Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a group of getting us together. So at 9 o'clock in the morning for an hour, and he would call communication this way. We had about close to 15 people at the beginning, and it was really nice because you could see, Fern and myself joined a part of it, and others, and it continued on for a number of years, even after Frank left. And so it was a way of staying in touch with the other Summit people once, whatever, as often as you wanted to join. So.
Karen has something.
I just have a quick thing. Mary Cartervale had an incredible cooking class, and we made pies and soups and bread and we couldn't have ever done that in our own kitchens. So it was really amazing, and I hope she does it again sometime because it was just awesome. So, and yeah.
Auction item.
That was an auction item, I think.
Hi, my name's Mary, and one of the things I heard the other people saying was through this COVID, they were becoming more aware of what they didn't have to do. They didn't have to drive, they could telecommute, they didn't have to use all the paper. They came up with more efficient ways to do their business. And hopefully some of the things that we learned from that experience will extend into the future, where we can do more working from home, saving all that time and gas, and maybe take some of those business buildings and convert them to residential space. That's it.
Hi, my name's David. I just wanted to say a positive thing about, well, a lot of you mentioned positive things about the COVID period, but Mary and I are both potters, and so we have a studio, and so to tell you the truth, it hardly interrupted my life at all. I mean, I just was happy in my studio, working alone and making my pots. And I wanted to tell a thing that I saw that was kind of funny. I was in Dixieline with my mask on, and there was a young lady right beside me, and she was a beautiful young lady, and she was obviously fairly vain too, because instead of having a mask on, which would hide her beauty, she had a clear shield on, so you could see how pretty she was. I thought that was very interesting.
So I'm Aline, and I was fortunate to already have a telecommuting job with a prayer ministry, and so we just moved along and talked to each other and talked to many people. But one of the things as an only child I've always done is use my imagination, and it really blossomed during COVID, because I would go on my trips that I'd been to Italy and to India and to different places, and I would just sit in my trailer, which was the confidential prayer room at the time, and in between calls I would walk the streets of Prague or someplace in India, and I'd just have a wonderful vacation because my brain didn't know the difference in whether I was there or here. And so it gave me lots of pleasure of remembering all those wonderful times.
Thank you. Let's take one more, and then we can continue conversations over coffee hour.
Hi, I'm Iris. During the lockdown, I was really getting lonely because I am more of an extrovert, and all of my friends were just like not wanting to get together because they were going to die if we saw each other, and it was like just paranoia, even just to get together and just even, get together and eat out or whatever. And some restaurants were opening up, but nobody wanted to go there. And so I got closer with I think you guys know Sally Jackson, who has the two girls. That's when their girls were like, I think they're 10 now. So maybe, 4 years ago, 5 years ago almost. So maybe 5 or 4. And we got really close. We took walks together because she walks her dogs, and I got outside more. And she was like one of my only friends that didn't care about getting together. And it was just really nice. So that really helped our friendship. And also, I was upset that I wasn't able to do my comedy because, comedy is all in person. So a lot of, not myself, but other comedians started online comedy. And I thought, I can't do this because I'm not technical either, but I was able to, send out online invitations, and I did an online thing, and it was cool. And so that was connecting to people, and people that weren't even in San Diego saw that. And unfortunately, I didn't get discovered and famous by some, agent, but that was cool. So I still was able to get out there. And when movie theaters open up again, nobody wanted to go. And I'm like, I'm going. I don't care if I'm going to die. I'll die in the movie theater. That's like my place that I love. So eventually a friend started going with me, and it started opening up. But, so I started getting this close friendship, and it was cool. There's nobody in the movie. It was really like a private screening. So, but yeah, it was awful because I was an extrovert, and it was really awful for people that like to be together. And I hate Zoom too, but it had its positives too, so I was grateful for the friendship and other things.
Thank you for your sharing. Instead of community gathering after the service today, let's just continue our other conversations in the salon during coffee hour, and Elaine will come back up.
Is that too long? Someplace else. Well, thank you for all your comments and all the wonderful things that we did and didn't do. I was pleased about how many people came to support. My adopted family always got groceries for us, and so it was a real blessing. So it's time for our giving and receiving, and we are certainly a loving fellowship supported entirely by your voluntary generosity. We appreciate our faithful pledgers who continue to keep up their monthly contributions to keep the air and the lights and the carpets clean and all our staff paid. And it's easy to contribute to a virtual plate today because the link, if you're watching on Zoom, can be found in the chat box and it will take you directly to the donation location. And so now we gratefully accept your generous donations during the musical interlude.
I'm going to play an arrangement of Joshua Fit, The Battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down, which I played during Zoom. I think I Zoom services when we were back then.
Wow, Karen, thank you. That was beautiful. And now it's your turn to rise with Duncan and sing 1064 in the blue hymnal, Blue Boat Home. I guess it's teal, but close enough. Huh?
Close. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim soul, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greeting the infinite sea before me, Kaye sky my sailor's song. I was born upon my fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
We extinguish the flame of the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Many blessings on your week. And so we have had our community talk already, so we now will rise and join hands if you're willing. If not, make hands over your heart or a heart with your hands, and just be happy in singing our closing song.
Yeah,